Thank you, Samantha, and hello everyone. My name is Rohit Sharma, and I am a lead technical support analyst at BMC Software. This is my 8th year at BMC, and I work in the customer support organization supporting Truesight server automation. As you all know, that TSSA is widely used within organizations to patch variety of operating systems. Today, we will talk about some best practices that can be followed to prevent any patch management issues while patching Windows servers within TSSA. This is our second webinar for Windows patching. In the first webinar, we spoke about how to do Windows patching in TSSA and shared some useful tips for troubleshooting common issues. Let us talk about the agenda. We will first talk about pre-checks before running a patch catalog update job. We will then move over to the pre-checks before running a patching job. I will also walk you through the steps to import and run a compliance job using the Windows Patch Readiness zip kit. This zip kit is used to run some basic tests against a target server to determine whether or not a target server is ready to be patched via TSSA or not. So, the very first step in a patching job in TSSA is to ensure that there is a patch catalog in place with the latest patches downloaded. Before running a catalog update job, these are the things that I would check. Storage requirements. We need to check that the repository server is accessible and has sufficient free disk space available on the server. Since we are downloading huge repositories, depending upon the patches that are being downloaded, the size of the repository would vary. Based on the catalog mode, we need to ensure that we have outbound internet access. For example, for online catalog update job, we need internet access on the application servers. For offline catalog update jobs, we need internet access on the patch repository server. We should also ensure that we have filters added for all the products, OS and versions that you need to patch in the environment. For example, we have separate filters for Windows Server 2012, 2016, 2019 and so on. Different filters are available for different Office versions as well. So we need to ensure that whatever version that we are downloading for whatever version we are trying to patch the server, the filter is added in the catalog and the patches are downloaded. So please ensure that the appropriate filters are added in patch catalogs. If you are creating a catalog for the first time, depending on the number of filters, it may take several hours. However, the subsequent catalog update jobs are only downloading the newly added patches, so the runs post the first catalog update job should be relatively fast. It is good to get the catalog update job updated at least a day before the actual patching cycle. So let's move to the demo now. In the first part of the demo, we'll see how to add a new filter to the Windows Patch catalog. In the second part, we'll see how to troubleshoot BLPAT 1004 HTTP URL not accessible error while updating a Windows Patch catalog. I have now logged in to a TSSA console, and let us try to create a patch catalog for SQL Server 2017 and SQL Server 2019. Now I have opened the patch catalog wizard here, and you can see that for SQL Server there are three filters: SQL Server 2012, SQL Server 2014 and SQL Server 2016. So as you can see, the products that we wanted to add, which are SQL Server 2017 and SQL Server 2019, are not there in the default filter list. Now we will see how to add these products in the filter list. Now, in order to add these products in the filter list, we will first need to export a XML file which contains list of filters available for a Windows patch catalog, and we need to append these two products in the XML file. So we'll have to export a XML file. Let's see how to do that. So I'll just cancel it. So in order to do that, I'll go to configuration, patch global configuration, and I'll go to the Windows tab, and after going to the Windows tab, we'll see at the bottom section here there is Windows filter configuration file. So this is the section from where we'll export the file that is being used by TSSA right now. So we'll click on this export button and we'll find a server where we'll save this file. So you'll have to specify a directory on any server where you have to save the file. Now in the interest of time, I've already exported the file and have copied it in my desktop where now I'm going to show you what are the contents of the file, what is the file looks like. So I'll just cancel this here. So this is the file that I have, this is the default file that I have exported. Now, if you see here, there is this XML file. It contains a huge list of all the products that are listed, that gets listed when you are creating a patch catalog. So what we'll do is we'll first try to locate SQL Server here, and we'll see what are the versions that are added there. So you see here, it is SQL Server 2014, SQL Server 2016. So these are the only two versions that are added. Now let's talk about the tags for a bit. So the tags are product underscore category name, which is the name by which the filter gets listed in the drop down. Then there is vendor name, which in this case is Microsoft. The family is SQL Server, so the family name is SQL Server, and the version is SQL Server 2014 and SQL Server 2016. Now the value of most of these tags for 2017 and 2019 seems pretty obvious, but let's see, how do I find this information for product which is not as obvious as this? So let's say if we are trying to add a new product for which we don't know what is the value of these tags. So how do I identify? Now, in order to do that, we will need to download the TSSA Windows offline downloader, and we'll use the offline downloader to query Ivanti's metadata and generate a file which contains this information. So this is the server where I have downloaded and extracted the offline downloader. So we'll have to run a command to export the metadata. So let's see what is the syntax of the command. So I'll just run the Windows offline downloader as it is, just to see what is the syntax of the command. So the command that we are interested in, it is listed here. Now to download Ivanti product catalog metadata and export it to a CSV file. So this is the command that we want to run, which is Windows downloader.bat or sh, depending upon the operating system where you have downloaded the offline downloader. I have downloaded it on Linux, so I'll use the sh file. Then you'll have to provide the path of a config file, and this is the flag that you're going to use, -export Ivanti product catalog, and you'll have to give the name of the file in which this information will be exported. So I'll just show you the command that we can run. So this is a simple command that you can run, and it is going to generate an Ivanti catalog, Ivanti underscore catalog.csv file, which will contain the information of all the products that are being supported by Ivanti. Now, in the interest of time, I've already copied and opened the file on my desktop. So I'll just show you how the CSV file looks like. So this is the CSV file that we exported. As you can see, it has a lot of information about a lot of products. Now there is vendor name, family name, version name, and then there is this product name. Now if you remember, the product name tag is not applicable in this scenario. The tags that we want to know is product category name, which is the name that you want to be displayed in the drop down, then vendor name, family name, and version name. So these are the 4 tags that we need. So let's just figure out what is the corresponding tag for SQL. Now I'll just filter here by family name, which is SQL Server, and you can see that it has listed down all the versions that are available here. So the versions that we are interested in are 2017 and 2019. So I'll just apply a filter here as well, and you see there are only 2 versions available for SQL Server 2017 and SQL Server 2019. So I'll just select these, hit OK, and this is the information. So what we want to know is the vendor name, which is Microsoft, family name is SQL Server, and the version name is SQL Server 2017. Now we are not bothered about the product name, because if we select 2017, the patches for all of these products that are listed here will get downloaded. But if there was a different version, then we'll have to use 2 versions here. But in this scenario, there is only one version for version name for SQL Server 2017, which is just SQL Server 2017, and for SQL Server 2019, it is just SQL Server 2019. So let us see how to add this information in the default file that we imported. So I've already done that. and I'll show you what is the file that I have added. So I'll just click the filter here, and this is the file that I have edited. So I've added two filters here: product category name, vendor name, family name, version name. That's it. And the same information I've added for SQL Server 2019. So that's it. You have to save this file, and you'll have to put this file on a server from which you can import the file in TSSA. So I've already copied it on the same server. Let us now see how to import this file. So to import the file, we'll go to configuration, patch global configuration. We'll go to the Windows tab here, and we'll click on this button to import the file. Now I'll have to browse to the server on which I have saved the file. So I have saved this file on webinar-repo2. So let's just go to the server, and I've saved the file here. So there are two files here: default underscore filter.xml. This is the file that I exported, which is the default file, and this is the edited file, SQL underscore server. So I'll just select this file, hit OK, and hit apply, and hit OK once again. So that's it. So the filter is added now. So let's see if the filter is visible as well. So I'll just create new patch catalog, Windows patch catalog. And if I click on this green button here, let's see if the filter comes up for SQL Server 2017 and 2019. Sorry, yeah. So here you can see we have two new filters added, which are SQL Server 2017 and SQL Server 2019. So this is how you can add new filters which are not present in the default list. So the process is pretty simple. You'll have to first export the XML file that TSSA uses currently. You'll have to download the offline downloader somewhere, export the Ivanti product data, identify what are the tags that you need to add in the XML file, use the tags, add that in the XML file, import the file in TSSA console, and you'll see the filters. So now let's move to the second part of the demo, where we talk about troubleshooting BLPAT 1004 HTTP URL is not accessible error in the Windows patch catalog update job. Now let's log into the console here, and we can see that there is this catalog update job that got failed, and this is the log here. Now the log says validation error, BLPAT 1004 HTTP URL is not accessible. Possible remediation steps, please check the proxy login credential, and this is the URL that we are trying to connect. So this URL here is the Ivanti metadata URL that the patch catalog update job connects while downloading the metadata. Now there can be a few reasons for this error, and the error in the console may not be helpful here. So we need to check the application server logs here as well, and the application server logs will help us to determine what is the exact root cause. So there are a couple of scenarios here that we'll check one by one. So let's just see the application server logs that I have already downloaded. So this is the first log that I have downloaded. So it says maximum retries completed, failed to download. This is the same URL that we were trying to download. And it says please verify internet connectivity, and that's it. So there's a stack trace here. And yeah, so this is the error here. So the error means that there was a problem downloading the metadata from the Ivanti URL. Now there can be a few reasons for this. The application server does not have access to the internet at all. That can be one reason. Or the application server has access to the internet, but URL which is being connected is blocked by the firewall. Or there is an internet proxy configured in TSSA, and there are problems while trying to connect to the proxy, or the login credentials that are specified for the proxy is not correct. Now, I would like to take a moment and show you the proxy details on the TSSA console. So we'll go to configuration, patch global configuration, and this is the place where under all operating system tabs where you specify the proxy details. So all the details are provided, all the proxy settings, the proxy server type, which is squid, username, password, host name, which is slightly incorrect here, I'll fix it. the port, the protocol. So these are all the details of the proxy server that I have listed here. Now, if these details are wrong, or if you have provided the port incorrectly, or if the application server cannot speak to the proxy host on this particular port, you will see this error. So the error that we just saw here, that we are not able to, the application server is not able to connect to this URL, and if there is not much in the stack trace. So if this is the only error, it's a very simple error, which means that your application server is not able to connect to this particular URL, which could be either due to a proxy misconfiguration. We just saw how to check that, or it could be an internal firewall rule which is blocking access to a certain URL. So all you need to do is identify if it is one of these things, and if you are able to access this particular URL from the application server or not. If you are able to do that, if you are able to fix that, the catalog update job will run successfully. Now, I would like to talk about a second reason which could cause this error. Now, if you see here, there is error2.txt, and the error is exactly the same. It says maximum retries completed, and there is this URL. Now, but if you see at the bottom, the stack trace, it contains a PKIX path building failed, some security provider unable to find valid certification path to requested target, which was not there in the previous error. So if you just see this was a plain simple stack trace which was saying that it's not able to connect to a particular URL. But this error says that it is unable to find valid certification path to requested target. Now, we all know that TSSA is a Java-based application, and whenever Java attempts to connect to another applications or URL over SSL, it will only be able to connect to that application if it can trust it. The trust is handled via trust store or CA-cert file for Java-based applications. The CA-cert file contains a list of all known CA certificates. This problem is therefore caused by a certificate that is self-signed or a certificate chain that does not exist within the Java cert store that is used by TSSA. So the Java that is used by TSSA does not trust the certificate, and it fails to connect to the URL. Now, this error is usually seen in a case where there is a new SSL certificate being added on an internet proxy that is being used by TSSA. Now, whenever I run into this error, I run a curl command to see if I'm able to connect to this particular URL using the proxy that is specified in the patch global configuration. So this is the command. It is a curl command which says curl, and I have to specify the proxy, which is the proxy here, and the URL. So when I run this command, I'll get an error something like this, that peer certificate issuer has been marked as not trusted by user, more details here. So it means that whenever I'm trying to connect to this Ivanti URL outside of the TSSA application from the operating system using the proxy that I have specified this proxy that I have specified in the patch global configuration, I'm also getting this error. So it means that this is not a TSSA configuration problem. It has something to do with the proxy or the certificates that are being added in the proxy. Now, to simulate this error, the internet proxy that I showed you earlier, I generated a SSL certificate on the internet proxy, which I have downloaded on this server. So I'll now run the same command using the SSL certificate that I've copied on the server. So you can see that once I use the certificate, it gives this huge output, which means that it was able to connect to this particular URL. So I'll just show you the command once again. It is similar to the curl command, and I've just added this tag --CA-cert and provided the part to the certificate. Now, in the command that we just ran, we provided the path of the certificate in this command. In order for TSSA application to use this certificate, we will have to add the certificate in TSSA's trust store. Now let's see how to do that. So let's see the command. So this is the command that we are going to run. We'll have to use the key tool utility -import -alias, any alias name, the file which you are going to add, and the key store is the part to the CSRT file, and you have to provide the password to the CSRT file, which is change it. Now, when we run this command, we'll get an notification that if you really want to add the certificate, we'll specify yes, and the certificate will be added to the key store. Now, once this is done, you'll have to restart the application server services for the changes to take effect. So, the next step in TSSA patch management is creating a patching job. The patching job would comprise of patch analysis, which determines the missing patches on the server, and patch remediation, which creates and executes the patch deploy job, which would actually install missing patches on the target machine. Now, before running a patching job against target servers, please ensure that the target server has enough free disk space in the staging area to host the missing patches temporarily while they are getting installed. The TSSA file server should have free disk space as well. The reason why this is important is because when the TSSA patch remediation job is running, it creates BL packages with missing patches. The metadata of those BL packages is stored on the file server. And even though it is just a few MBs, if the TSSA file server is out of free disk space, the patching job would fail. BMC recommends to always monitor your core TSSA infrastructure, such as the application servers, the TSSA file servers, and the database server, to ensure that they are not running out of resources such as CPU or disk space. Coming to the user mapping, we all know that patching is an administrative activity, and hence the TSSA user and role running the job should be mapped to an administrative local user on the target server. If the local users are not present on target servers, then domain administrators can be used with automation principles. I will share a video at the end of the webinar which talks about the usage of automation principles for running TSSA jobs. It is important to check the locale or language on target servers as well, because if the patches for the language are not added in the patch catalog, you will not see any missing patches. So, if the locale on the server is not English, we need to ensure that we are adding filters for the corresponding language while creating the patch catalog. For example, if the language on the server is in French, then you need to select the language French while adding a filter in the catalog update job. And lastly, the Windows Update service. In order to successfully patch a Windows server via TSSA, we need to ensure that the Windows Update service is up and running on the target server. So let us now see a demo. We will see how to import and use the Windows Patch Readiness zip kit, which is nothing but a component template used to run a compliance job to check if the pre-checks required to patch a Windows targets are met or not. We will also see the demo of the new reboot setting added in TSSA 20.02 onwards. We'll see a demo in which we'll talk about the usage of repeater in TSSA patch deploy job. So let's get started. I have now logged in to a TSSA console, and we will now see how to import the Windows Patch Readiness zip kit. The zip kit is available out of the box in TSSA 22.2 onwards. However, if you are on an older version of TSSA, or if you have upgraded from an older version of TSSA and you do not see the zip kit, you can import the zip kit from BMC communities. I will share the link from which the zip kit can be downloaded. In the interest of time, I have already downloaded and stored the zip kit from BMC communities to my local computer, and I will now show you how to import it in TSSA. So in order to import, we'll go to the component templates workspace. I'll right click on the component template and I'll do an import. Now there are two options, import standard and import version neutral. We'll select import version neutral. So this zip kit is version neutral. You can just import it on any version of TSSA. I'll hit OK. Now it will give me two options. If I have saved it on a managed server in TSSA, I can import it from there, or if I have stored it on my local computer, I'll just import it. So I have it on my local computer. I'll browse to the location, and this is the zip kit. Now the zipkit, as the name suggests, is a zip file, and you do not need to extract the zip file. The file will be imported as a .zip. So I've selected the .zip file here, which is patch ready windows.zip. I'll hit next. So this is the location where the zipkit will be imported. So under component templates, there's a folder Windows patch analysis, and this is the component template patch ready Windows. I'll leave the other options as default, which are update objects according to the imported package and preserve template group path. So I'll hit next, and it will now show me what are the components that are that will be imported as a part of the zipkit. And I'll hit finish to start the import. So the import is now finished. I'll hit OK. Now I'll browse to the Windows folder where there is this patch analysis folder under component templates, and this is the Windows patch ready zipkit. So let us now open the Windows patch ready zipkit and see what rules are there. So as you can see, if I go to the compliance tab, these are the rules that are added there. So it first check if the agent is up or not. It would also check a minimum of 500 MB free disk space on C drive. You can configure it to check on the D drive or any other staging area. I would like to point out that the default check for free disk space in the patch readiness zipkit is 500 MB. But based on the number of patches and the operating system, the target server may need more free disk space than just 500 MB. I would recommend you to change the free disk space check to a value that suits your environment. So moving on to the third check, which is about the RSCD version. It will check if the RSCD version is compatible or not. So the check that we have here is for something which is 20.2 upwards. You can configure it as per your requirements. We are also checking if Windows Update Service is enabled or not. We are checking if the Windows server is not a Windows 2000 server. So you can edit this rule to say that the server is not Windows Server 2000, 2003 or 2008. So I'll just modify the rule here to say that the target OS version does not equal, I'll just change it to does not start with 200. So anything which is 2012, 2016, 2019 and 2022 will be compliant, and 2008, 2003 and 2000 will be non-compliant. So I'll just change it and save it here. And then we have a check for pending reboot as well. We will talk about the new feature in which was added in 20.02 onwards as well, but the patch readiness zipkit has this particular check as well. So let us now see how to create a compliance job using this patch readiness zipkit. So I'll do a right click and I'll click compliance, which will open a wizard. We'll put the details, which is a patch ready webinar, and I'll check the auto discovery so that the discovery is run as a part of compliance job as well, and we do not have to run the discovery job separately. I'll search the folder here. Next, these are the default options for any compliance job. I'll just select these two targets. Next and next. Next, execute job now. Next, next, and finish. So we'll just now wait for the compliance job to finish. So let's just go to the folder where I have saved the compliance job inside jobs. So this is the webinar folder. Let me just refresh it. Patch ready webinar is already there. Let's do a right click, do a show results, and the job is running. So the job is finished right now. So let's see what are the rules here. So we'll go to the server section here, The rule section will tell you which are the rules which are not compliant. The server section is going to tell you what are the servers that are non-compliant. So as I can see, both the targets are non-compliant due to some rule or the other. Let's check for the first target, webinar-target1. So it has a pending reboot, and there's a Windows update service that is not running on this particular server. And if I check the target 2, sorry, and here also Windows update service is again not running as well. So on both the servers, the Windows update service is not running. I did change it, stop the Windows update service before I started this job. So I was expecting this server to show as non-compliant. So if the Windows update service is not running, you can check the check the server and ensure that the Windows update service is running on that particular host. And this is how you can identify which are non-compliant targets on your machine. The servers which does not have a compatible agent or does not have a free disk space, if the operating system is not matching, or if the Windows update is not running, or the server which does not have a pending reboot. So these are the things that you can check using the Windows Patch Readiness zip kit, which is available on communities. You can download it, import in the environment, and use it. Now, since this is a component template, in case you want to add some rules in the existing patch readiness kit, you can do that as well. Please check our YouTube playlist for compliance to know about how to create compliance rules in a component template and run the compliance using the new rules. So there is a list of videos that we have added in our compliance playlist. I'll share the link to our YouTube playlist by the end of the webinar, but you can add any new rules as per your environment in the patch readiness kit, and before patching you can run this compliance job to ensure that all the servers are patch ready or not. Now let us move to the second part of the demo, where we will talk about the new feature which was added in TSSA 20.02 onwards, which was related to pending reboot. Now, we have seen a lot of problems in the past where TSSA tried to install a patch which was already installed on the server and the deploy job would fail. The reason why TSSA tried to install the patch was that after the installation of the patch, the server was not rebooted and the patch analysis job reported the particular patch as missing. Now, if you check the analysis job, we reported the analysis job as a success, but if you check the logs, there was a warning that the server had a pending reboot. Now, to fix or overcome this problem, we kind of did two things. The first thing is we have added this warning target section under server view. So it will tell you what are the targets which are successful, but there is a warning. So you can go and check in the section if there is a target which has warning, and if it is due to a pending reboot. Now, this will tell you if a target has a pending reboot as well. But what do we do of this for this pending reboot? Now in 20.02 onwards, we have introduced this checkbox in the analysis options while creating a patch analysis job, which says reboot before analysis if the reboot is pending on the server. Now if you try to run an analysis on the server where TSSA determines that there is a pending reboot, and if you have checked this option, TSSA is going to reboot the server before running the analysis, and after the reboot is done, TSSA will scan the server and report all the missing patches. Now this is a very good feature to have, because if there is a pending reboot and there are patches for which a reboot was not done, if you scan the server without a reboot, will report that TSSA would have reported the patches as missing. But since we have added this reboot feature, TSSA is going to reboot the server and you will get a correct list of patches. So this is how the logs are going to look like. We'll see that the target is successful. The analysis on the target is successful, and as you can see from the log, TSSA here determines that it is rebooting the target before running the analysis because it has detected a pending reboot, and it is going to reboot the server and then going to run the analysis as seen here. So this is going to prevent a lot of problems where sometimes you install a patch and you forget to reboot the server, or the server was not rebooted due to some reason. So you can check this option and TSSA is going to take care of the reboot. So now we'll move to the last part of our demo where we are going to talk about repeaters. So let us first talk about what a repeater is. A repeater is nothing but a host with a RSCD agent installed. It is used to share payload between TSSA application server from the repository server or TSSA file server to remote target servers. A repeater is used for deploying huge file across targets located in remote data centers. A repeater is used to optimize the data transfer between TSSA and a target located in remote data center. For example, if I have a TSSA infrastructure and manage targets located in different data centers, and I want to manage the remote targets via TSSA to deploy software and install patches, that is a classic case when I want to use a repeater. The repeater handles the role of transferring the files to remote targets, so the TSSA server, the TSSA application server in this instance, can execute jobs consistently without being slowed by WAN transfer speed. I have created a blog which answers some of the most common questions related to the use of repeaters in TSSA. I'll share the link to the blog at the end of the webinar. In this demo, we will see the most common error that a lot of customers run into while using repeaters in a TSSA patch deploy job. So as you can see that this is a patch deploy job which has failed in staging with the error staging while failed. Let's double click here. So this is the target which has failed. It has failed in staging, and this is the error. So it says no authorization to access host. As you can see, a repeater is being used here. Staging failed while copying from repeater directory to this server, and the job has failed. Now, when a job is executed against target server, it is always the TSSA application server that initiates the connection to the target server. And hence it is recommended to have the IPs or hostname of all application servers in your environment to be added in the exports file on the target server to allow that connection. However, when we are using repeater, the repeater initiates a copy during the staging to the target server due to the reasons I have mentioned earlier. Hence, if you do not have the IP or hostname of the repeater server added in the exports file of the target server, the job in staging would fail. This is the most common error that a lot of our customers run into while working with repeaters, and hence I wanted to talk about this in the webinar. So if I log into the target server and check the RSCD logs on the target server, you would see an error like this: host not granted access, and it would come from the IP of the repeater, because when the staging happens, the data gets copied from the repeater to the target server and the application server is not involved. So if the IP address of the repeater server is not added, the IP address or the hostname of the repeater server is not added in the exports file on the target server, the staging would fail. So this is something that you should keep in mind while you're trying to add repeaters in your environment, that once the repeater is added in the environment, you'll have to ensure that the IP or the hostname of the repeater is being added in the exports file or of all the managed server via that particular repeater. This brings us to the end of this presentation. To summarize, we talked about pre-checks in a Windows Patch Catalog Update job, adding a new filter in Windows Patch Catalog Update job, troubleshooting BLPAT 1004 error in a Windows Patch Catalog Update job, pre-checks in a Windows patching job, the new reboot related settings added in Windows patching jobs in TSSA 20.02 onwards, and the usage of repeater in Windows patch deploy jobs. Here are the links to some of the knowledge material that I referenced during the webinar. This knowledge article, which lists the command used in troubleshooting BLPAT 1004 HTTP URL is not accessible error. The documentation and related videos about the usage of automation principles, the community blog with the latest version of Windows Patch Readiness zip kit. And at the end, there are the links to YouTube playlists of our compliance and Windows patching related videos. Thank you very much for attending this webinar today. Over to you, Samantha.